to another episode of the GOAT Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Neander. Are you ready for a crazy Thursday night football game? Holy crap. We got, all right, lots to get to today. Tons of news and notes. There's injuries, there's COVID news, there's all this stuff. So, you guys know the deal. Welcome in. Thanks for joining us. Listen, find us everywhere on YouTube. You can watch, you can listen, audio only, anywhere you listen to podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, all that good stuff. You can find us pretty much everywhere. Go ahead and do it. We appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel, please. Like and share the videos. Always helps us out. So, you know the deal. It's Thursday morning, November 5th. Almost noon here. And, news is kind of coming in hot and heavy. It's a little afternoon. And, news is trickling in, like I said. So much to get to. We're going to preview half of the games today, half tomorrow, as always. Go through each and every game, talk about starts and sits for each and every game, recommendations, updates on injuries, etc., etc. You know the deal. So, all right. So we're going to get started with this Thursday night game. Listen, this is what we know right now. Let's talk about Green Bay first. Green Bay is going to be missing a lot of their running backs. That's A.J. Dillon. That's Jamal Williams. And it looks like it's also going to be Aaron Jones. Now, Aaron Jones with the calf injury is still questionable, but it does not look like he's going to be playing tonight. It's hard for me to imagine him out there. They're going to risk him out there, So, who does that leave? That leaves, I think it's Tyler Ervin. And then the question was if it's going to be, Dexter Williams. I don't know if it's going to be Dexter Williams. I didn't see that he was active as far as I could tell so far. Looked like, he didn't look like he was activated yet by the Green Bay Packers, as far as I could tell. So, I'm looking here at their depth chart on ESPN. I see Dexter Williams there. So, I don't know. What do we got? Here, either way, I'm probably not going to play either one of them. They might throw the ball a ton and just take that out of the equation. Tyler Ervin really didn't look great last week. He's supposedly a really good, pass catching running back, and then he dropped a couple of easy passes there. So, I'm not sure what to do here, but at this point, I'm probably going to stay away from Green Bay running backs. Now, on the San Francisco side, we have a team that was already absolutely ravaged by injuries, and now they're ravaged by COVID as well. So, they're not going to have Jimmy Garoppolo for a couple of months. Nick Mullins will be the quarterback there. At running back, Raheem Mostert's on IR. Tevin Coleman is, out for this game. They are going to have Jermichael Hasty. They are going to have Jerick McKinnon. And in a game where they're not going to have many other weapons, which we'll get to in a moment, I think you can absolutely play both of these guys. You're going to need McKinnon in a receiving role to some extent. And I think Jermichael Hasty will have, the bulk of opportunities running the ball, however many they are. In a week like this with running backs, though, I do think you're going to need to play, possibly both these guys tonight. I think you can expect a decent chunk of targets to go McKinnon's way and a decent chunk of opportunities for Hasty as well. It's a little bit of a dangerous game to start these guys, especially because the offense might not move again. You got Nick Mullins. Let's talk about the outside here. Even though Kendrick Bourne's test, it looks like he tested negative today, not necessarily meaning that his other test was a false positive, but we don't have Kendrick Bourne either way tonight. They're also not going to let Brandon Ayuk play. We have no Deebo Samuel. Looks like even Trent Taylor, who is it? James Ritchie? Looks like he's questionable also. We know George Kittle's out for a couple months. Really don't know who to even think about playing on the outside here. People were thinking, all right, well, you're going to throw Jordan Reed in there. No, he just went on IR. Jordan Reed again. On IR now, can't use him. So you have Ross Dwelly. And yeah, as crazy as it is, I think it's absolutely peanut butter Dwelly time. I think you're definitely going to get some Ross Dwelly today. I think he's going to have as many targets as he can possibly handle. I don't know how many that is, but he's absolutely going to get targets tonight. Sneaky play. Get him in your lineups. If you're missing, Kittle, I think you should feel great about being able to play Ross Dwelly tonight. You should have already made that happen. Kittle being out 8 weeks, he shouldn't even be on your IR really, but you obviously should have dropped him already, to make plays, on your bench just in case IR is not an option. So, I think you play Ross Dwelly. I don't know if you play Trent Taylor. I'm going to stay away from it with Richie Mullins out there, Richie Mullins, with Nick Mullins out there. I'm just too scared of it all. So I'm going to play both running backs. going to play Ross Dwelly. On the Green Bay side, yeah, you're playing Aaron Rodgers. I don't love the matchup. I think he's 1-2 in his last 3 Thursday games. You know, I mean, just some of it doesn't look great for me. But you're still absolutely going to have Aaron Rodgers out there unless you have a much better option. In one league, I am playing Justin Herbert over Aaron Rodgers, but that's all. I'm not going to play either running back, as I mentioned. Just don't know what's going to happen there. And then, yeah, you're definitely playing Devontae Adams. I don't think you're playing anybody else with confidence. You would have loved to have seen them got somebody back, you know, or get somebody in the trade deadline, but they didn't. And now you're going forward with what they have. So, Robert Tonyan, is he playable? Sure, he's playable, and he might have his share of targets. I think I'd be staying away from him this week personally. Just, I don't know. It could be a big game, but I'm going to stay away from Tonyan in this game. I'm really only going to roll out Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams at this point. So that's a wild game. Can't believe what's going on with that game and that they haven't even talked about postponing it. NFL's just rolling along. We had a couple of other facilities closed today. I think it was Houston. Maybe it was Chicago also. I don't know, man. But shit's hitting the proverbial fan right now in the NFL. Let's keep it together here, guys. Let's get these games off without a hitch. Let's move on. Let's do the same thing here. We're going to keep it rolling. We got Seattle at Buffalo. Love this game. We've got a line of, 55.5 point over-under. Given 3 points. Seattle's given 3 points to Buffalo, so you expect to win a close game. And this is really a game where Buffalo's got to prove themselves. They haven't, been able to get over the hump with the top teams, and this is their chance to take down a top team. We'll see. I don't think they have enough juice to do it. I hate to say that, but I don't know if they're going to be able to make that happen. All right. Let's dig into it a little bit here. So Seattle dealing with their own injuries. You know you're going to play Russ no matter the matchup. At running back, so we know that Carlos Hyde is going to be out again this weekend. Travis Homer's questionable. Chris Carson is questionable, but not even going to test the injury until tomorrow, I don't believe. So that leaves us with DJ Dallas again. And I'll say again this week what I said last week. If Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde are out, regardless of what happens with Travis Homer, I'm playing DJ Dallas. I'm going to find a spot for him in my lineup if those guys are out. If they're out. Hyde and Carson, if they're out, you're playing Dallas. If Carson's in, yeah, you're going to play Carson, and he's the only one you play. So look at it that way, and obviously you're going to play Lockett and Metcalf. Nobody else I can start with confidence out there. David Moore, he's making some nice plays, but just, the volume's not there to really make him playable at this point, in my opinion. All right, let's see. What are we looking for here? I'm trying to find the weather. Sorry, that's been where my focus has been for the last minute. I'm too burnt out from over the years. I can't think and do too many things at the same time. All right, I want to see if there's any weather in San Fran, which you don't expect, obviously. 61 degrees, no chance of precipitation. Very nice. Let's look at this Buffalo game. 60 degrees in Buffalo, 0% chance of precipitation. Perfect day for football. Gotta love that. Let's hope that sticks. And let's talk about these Bills, right? Who we want to play on Buffalo. Josh Allen has been very disappointing. Let's hope and expect that he is going to step up to the plate here, try to match Russell Wilson in this game, and put up some pretty good fantasy numbers. So I do think you want to stick with Josh Allen for this week. If he can't get it done this week at home against a Seattle team that's given up significant quarterback points all season long, then yeah, I think now you're trying to pull the old panic switch, the panic lever, as it were. But I think you're going to roll with him this week. Running backs, you may be in a situation where you have to play them, and I would rank them Zach Moss and then Devin Singletary solely because of the high-value opportunities at the goal line and near the goal line. Still always have a chance that Allen could vulture those rushing touchdowns, but I still put Zach Moss's value just slightly higher because of that. Neither one has been overly involved in the passing game, so you're hoping for those touchdowns, and that's really only on Moss. I'm not excited to play Moss this week by any means, but I would play him. He would be the one I would play. Let's go to the outside here. Stephon Diggs, of course. I believe he might be the target leader in the NFL. Either way, if he's not, he's close to it. You're going to have him out there. John Brown seems to be practicing fully here. Let me jump in. John Brown, yeah, back on the practice field on Thursday, so that's a good sign. I don't know that I'm ready to play him. I would play Cole Beasley. I know he did have a bad game last week after he was getting a little bit of hype, but I expect Cole Beasley to still have a pretty decent game here. So, play Diggs and Beasley, play Brown at your own risk. I really don't like it until I see him have some kind of good game. It's been a while now. The Bills also activated Dawson Knox off of IR or off of the COVID list, but I don't think I'm ready to play him either. Tight end, there's other streaming options this week that are better. Logan Thomas, Eric Ebron, some guys like that. So you can always go that direction. I do expect this game to go over. I'm hoping it does. Hoping my Bills pull it out here, baby, but I can't say that I am confident at all. At all. So, all right, where are we going next? Well, we're not going far here. We're staying in Atlanta. This is the Denver Broncos coming to face the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons have been playing better of late, obviously under Raheem Morris. The old regime is gone. New regime is in. All that good stuff, right? Okay. So, we have an over-under of 50 with Atlanta giving 4 points. 50 is a little bit modest. I know that Atlanta didn't play great last week with their offense, but Denver looked, very good in that fourth quarter. Maybe Drew Lock kind of figured something out. We'll see. But I expect there to be some points scored in this game. I expect this one to go over as well. Now, in Denver, Drew Lock should be considered near the top of the streaming list. He put together that 3-touchdown fourth quarter last week. Looked really good doing it. He's getting the ball out to all his weapons here. He's using both of his talented tight ends, Noah Fant and Albert O. If Tim Patrick comes back this week, he'll be in the mix. If not, he's throwing the ball plenty to Jerry Jeudy, and Deshaun Hamilton is making some plays. So I think they have the opportunity to play pretty well this week, and I would consider Drew Lock an absolutely viable streamer for this week in Atlanta. Now, at the running back position, it's been a little harder to predict here with Denver what's going to happen with the timeshare between Melvin Gordon and Philip Lindsay. Philip Lindsay here didn't practice on Wednesday with the foot injury. I think that's just maintenance. I think he'll be available for Sunday, and I think it's going to be enough of a split again that you're going to be in danger no matter which one you start. But if I had to start one, it probably would be Melvin Gordon because of his involvement in the passing game. I know Philip Lindsay's making the big plays, and he looks better, and so he should be on the field more. But we know what's happening with these running backs here. Coaches are giving them all, opportunities for the most part in a lot of these situations, even if one player, kind of obviously looks better than the other. Melvin Gordon's getting the passing down work. He's getting 5+ target in a handful of these games, and that can easily happen again this week against a team that's not great against pass-catching backs this season or traditionally. So we'll see. I do like Melvin Gordon a little bit better this week, but not thrilled to play him. He's like an RB3 for me. To the outside, Tim Patrick here, limited participant in Wednesday's practice. I don't know. I'm on the fence of whether I think Tim Patrick is going to be back, but I still think I like Jerry Jeudy better this week. I think the time without Tim Patrick has allowed Lock and Jeudy to kind of lock it in, no pun intended, and I do think their connection is going to grow stronger. And while Tim Patrick has played really well, I do think this is the week where, whether or not he comes back, Jerry Jeudy kind of has his first big week as a pro. So I'm going to call it Jerry Jeudy as a wide receiver 1 on this week. A couple of touchdowns maybe, but I think he's going to have a big week this week. And Albert O was disappointing last week, so I don't think he's playable right now until he consistently gets kind of that even share with Noah Fant. But Noah Fant is absolutely going to be in your lineup. He's just getting a lot of targets here. The big plays will come for him. The scores will come as long as the work is there. He seems to be healthy. You're going to go ahead and roll him out there. Now, in Atlanta, I think you're playing all your usual suspects here in Atlanta, right? Matt Ryan, Todd Gurley. I know he's touchdown dependent, but he scores fucking touchdowns. What else has he done his whole career, right? He scores touchdowns. You get the ball in his hand in good value opportunity situations. He tends to deliver. And this is a game, again, where I think there's going to be points scored. So I'm definitely willing to play Todd Gurley here. Both receivers you're playing, Julio Jones. Let's see what's going on here with Atlanta. If there's any update here. I know Calvin Ridley Ridley's not going to practice on Wednesday. We'll need to hear more about that. Russell Gage was also limited in practice on Wednesday. So dealing with some issues with the wide receiver core there. Julio Jones is a no doubt start. Calvin Ridley, if he's ready to go, he's one of those players where, I wouldn't be that worried about the injury. If he says he's good to go, I think the big play potential and just that one big play touchdown, even if he maybe gets knocked back out, is always there. So, like Calvin Ridley as well. And then I think you're going to play Hayden Hurst. He's not a bang-up play any of these weeks because he doesn't have any of those big boom weeks, but he's been very consistent. And if Calvin Ridley's out, I do think you give a little bit of a bump to Hayden Hurst, and he'd probably be in my top 12 at that point. Maybe, sniffing around number 10 if Ridley is out. So, you can keep an eye on that. And, I think it's a decent game. It's going to be a little bit of an underrated game for fantasy points. All right, let's see this game. This game might not be great for fantasy, but, there's people that have plenty of players on these teams. So we got Chicago traveling to Tennessee. The Bears taking on the Titans. We got an over-under of 47. We got Tennessee giving 6 points. So they're saying, Chicago's going to score 20 points or so, 21, 26-21, 27-21, something like that. We'll see what happens here. It looks like, I don't know if I just missed this, and I don't know what happened. I don't know why Trubisky was in the game, but it says he's going to get more information about the right shoulder injury he suffered in Sunday's loss to the Saints. I don't know if he played near the end. I don't know if Foles got pulled. Somebody help me out. I must have missed that one. But in this game, I'm going to play David Montgomery and I'm going to play Allen Robinson. And that's probably it for the Bears. On the road here against what hasn't been a great Tennessee team, but it's time for them to kind of lock down. And I do expect them to play a strong game this game, control the time, run the ball hard, and really slow this game down a little bit. So not expecting that many points. I think it definitely could go under the 47 for sure. Let's see if there's any weather here going on in Tennessee. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a nice, pretty good weather for, pretty good weekend for weather. Yeah, 72 degrees, no chance of precipitation in Tennessee this Sunday. Beautiful, another beautiful game here. So don't worry about that. And then we're going to play, as I said, you're going to play David Montgomery. You're going to play Allen Robinson. I'm going to hold off on Jimmy Graham. He's battling a couple of little nicks here, a little knee thing, a little hamstring thing. He was limited during Wednesday's practice, so actually he was held out of Wednesday's practice. I think he'll be available for the game, but again, other tight ends that are looking good right now. Graham is kind of fading down. Some other guys are trending up, so I think you can look at it that way. In Tennessee, it's also been a little bit questionable here. Now, I know Ryan Tannehill has been very, very dependable with even limited opportunities in those kinds of games. He's been very efficient. Chicago hasn't been as tough of a defense as maybe we always kind of expect them to be, but I'm not expecting a big Tannehill game this game. I'm expecting Derrick Henry to run the ball 26 to 28 times in this game for sure. That's what I'm looking at. So let's see here. Chicago, do we have defense? I don't know. All right, well, we'll find it here. I have troubles. Schedule and results. Yeah, I don't know. Here we go. Defense. What do we have? 120 yards a game for Chicago. Yeah, I think Derrick Henry's going to have a pretty good game here. So, not that you were thinking about not playing him, but feel very confident in that. And you're going to play both wide receivers. You're going to play Corey Davis. The track record, so far this season has been there, and he's performing. Any week could be the week that when you put Corey Davis in, you get fucking 2.5 points. We all know that, but I think at this point you got to play Corey Davis. You're going to play A.J. Brown. And Johnny Smith, man, that's the tough one in this matchup. That's really the one you got to think about hard. I don't know how I can play Johnny Smith in this game just without getting any targets lately, right? It's stressful, man. I mean, you're getting these boom weeks in the beginning. You got knocked out just for a week with that injury, but it hasn't been the same since. And I'm definitely kind of worried about that. So I don't know if I'm playing Johnny Smith this week. He's well outside my top 12. And, I do not recommend it. It pains me to say. All right, let's move it on here. All right, nice divisional game. Detroit Lions traveling to Minnesota, taking on the Vikings. We've got a 52.5-point line with Minnesota giving 4 points. The line has come down here with the news that Matt Stafford may not play. He was moved to the COVID list, but he has just enough time that if he keeps testing negative, he can play on Sunday. At this point, the way things are going, I'm not expecting Matt Stafford to play. We know that Kenny Golladay is not going to play. So, whoever is the quarterback is not going to have all their weapons out there. So let's talk about everybody else here. DeAndre Swift, Adrian Peterson, super disappointing lately. Not getting the work. They're throwing the ball too much. The split is too even. So I'm not playing either one of these guys this week, really pretty much regardless of who's in at quarterback. And on the outside, so of course with Golladay gone, you always talk about Marvin Jones. He just seems he has a knack to not have that big game when you expect him to have the big game, right? This can't be the first time. It's not the first time this season. It's not the first time at all. I mean, it's gone back years where the smash games are the ones you don't expect from Marvin Jones, and then when he gets that big opportunity, it just never seems to happen. So I'm not recommending don't play Marvin Jones. I'm only saying if you have these delusions of grandeur that he's going to win you your week with 3 touchdowns, I would put those in check and play him more as a wide receiver 3 with, wide receiver 1 upside for sure. Now, Marvin Hall is sneaky as fuck. This is a guy you might want to think about playing. The targets were there for him last week, making big plays down the field, and with maybe number 1 coverage on Marvin Jones this week, might open some things up for Marvin Hall. That's a tough one. You got to have the huevos to play Marvin Hall this week, but I do think it's sneaky for deeper leagues and as a cheap play in DFS. If you want to stack up some expensive guys, he's one of those guys you can throw in there at the bare minimum, and I think you feel pretty good about the opportunities he's going to get. T.J. Hawkinson, limited at Wednesday's practice with his toe injury. I feel like he's going to be in the game and ready to play, and I think he's going to be in your lineup, as a tight end 1. I don't know that he has that top 3 kind of upside on any given week, but he's been pretty consistent. The targets are there. Now, if Stafford isn't playing, maybe I think about pivoting away from T.J. Hawkinson and or all Detroit Lions, quite frankly. But definitely Hawkinson. I just feel like he would give me the most apprehension to play if I knew Stafford wasn't going to be out there. So I can't say I'm positive who the damn backup is for the Detroit Lions. Let's see here. Chase Daniel. Okay. So, yeah, I don't feel worried about that. And I probably wouldn't be playing Hawk in that situation. Let's go over to the Minnesota Vikings here. Is Kirk Cousins a viable play here? That's tough, man. 52.5-point over-under. They just ran the ball down Green Bay's throat with Dalvin Cook. So is Detroit going to stack the box and kind of make them throw? I do think that might happen here. So I'm not excited to think about playing Kirk Cousins. He wouldn't be at the top of my streaming list, but I am expecting a bit of a comeback game for Kirk Cousins this week. So with that in mind, of course you're playing Dalvin Cook. But I do think you go back to playing Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen with confidence this week. I have a feeling that they're going to be, involved, and the passing game is going to be humming a little bit more for Minnesota at home, after a game which they won, which was big. But you like to see something going with the pass game. You got to get back off of Irv Smith. Unfortunately, a little bit too up and down. The yo-yo is real with this one, and as much talent is there, and as much potential is there, it's really, really difficult, bordering on impossible to just trust him right now. So, gotta recommend that you get off of Irv Smith. You can drop him for sure, and he'll be available, if and when you want to pick him back up. All right, let's go to another, possible defensive battle here. Baltimore Ravens, 5-2, traveling to the also 5-2 Indianapolis Colts. Right, both these teams have been, pretty good. Let's look at their defense this year. So we've got 18.9 points for Baltimore and 19.4 points a game for Indianapolis. I mean, this is definitely going to be, kind of a tight game here. Let's see. We got the defense. What do we got for yards here? 80 yards a game for Indianapolis's rushing defense. Really strong. And then what do we got here? I can't even tell. 100 yards a game for Baltimore. So, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out these stats. It's a very small screen. But, this game's not expected to be a high-scoring game. Over under a 47. You got Baltimore giving 2 points. The big, conversation piece here is Lamar Jackson struggles. Can he get it back on track with the passing work? He's been good in the rushing game, not to the level of last year, but the point was he had 36 touchdowns through the air last year. With those 11 or 1,200 rushing yards, that was the whole point because you didn't have the yardage throughout the season. So you needed those touchdowns and you got them. So even though the rushing is there, it's not just about connecting more passes and just the yardage in general. It's got to also start connecting on more touchdown passes. I don't know that this is the game I'm expecting him to kind of have a big game in, but he's absolutely going to be in your lineup and you're going to start him for sure. The rushing baseline is just, it's there. It's unavoidable, right? In the backfield now, let's look this up here. Let's see what the injury updates are, if we have any for Baltimore. Mark Ingram didn't practice on Wednesday. At this point, I'm going to expect Mark Ingram to be out for one more week. And so, yeah, I think both these guys are playable, both J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, just with the amount of rushing this team does and the way I'm expecting the game script to go in this game. So I do think they're both playable. If you made me pick one that I think is a better play this week, I'd probably swing with J.K. Dobbins, even though it might be a lower floor, higher ceiling type of situation. Gus Edwards might be the higher floor, lower ceiling type of situation. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about these guys. But I'd probably be rolling out J.K. Dobbins in a week like this. And on the outside, I hear you, squeaky wheel. Marquise Hollywood Brown. We all know that he's been, kind of chirping about not getting the targets. Which to some extent is true. I think he's the target leader on this team, though. What are you going to do? You're on a team that doesn't throw the ball that much. You're going to have games like that. I do think they're going to take a few shots at him down the field this week. I don't know if it's going to hook up. I'm keeping Hollywood Brown on my bench in a couple of leagues. He was a guy I was big on going into the season, so I do have some shares of him. But I haven't played him at all this year except for last week in a spot where I kind of needed him. I was worried about Pittsburgh receivers. And thank God for that one touchdown, or else it would have been absolutely brutal. But it wasn't good. And I'm not comfortable starting anybody else but Mark Andrews. He's been disappointing also. I think this might be a get-right game for Mark Andrews. But I'm not starting Miles Boykin, Devin Duvernay, or Willie Snead. Just not, comfortable doing that. Let's look over at Indy here. Philip Rivers has been really good lately. I know he's been putting up lots of points, taking lots of shots down the field. It's just that I'm not going to play him this week against Baltimore. You don't want to have one of those like Philip Rivers type games. I do think they're going to try to be successful running the ball, and if they are, they're not going to put up that many points, and that's going to be the kind of game they want to run. So I'm going to stay away from Philip Rivers this week, even though he has been kind of on fire. Now in the backfield, bigger questions here, right? Jonathan Taylor has not been good. He has this, quote unquote, I think, ankle injury now that just kind of came up. So, I don't know. He was limited at practice on Wednesday. Jordan Wilkins was also limited at practice on Wednesday. So Jordan Wilkins was, for a lot of people, one of the top waiver wire pickups. I wasn't that on to him only because you got Baltimore this week, and then you'll probably have a healthy, or a fully healthy Jonathan Taylor, hopefully fully integrated back in. But Jordan Wilkins was limited at practice also on Wednesday. Now, if we go into Sunday, and you're telling me that Wilkins and Taylor are both banged up, like they're both questionable going into Sunday, and they say they might play, but they're questionable, I'm going out and I'm playing Nyheim Hines. I'm not chasing the points just because he had those 2 great touchdowns last week, so I'm not just playing Nyheim Hines. If both these guys are healthy, I'm probably not playing Nyheim Hines. If they're both banged up, you better damn believe I'm playing Nyheim Hines. Because what else are they going to do? He's going to get work. They got to run the ball. Philip Rivers is going to dump the ball off at least a handful of times, if not more. So keep an eye on that situation. If you can't do it right now, if you don't have the roster spot to waste, that's fine. Hines, if he didn't get picked up on waivers, probably won't get picked up until this situation gets kind of crystallized here and is made a little bit clearer. So just keep an eye on it, keep an ear on it, as it were. This whole Colts situation, because I would like to have a Colts running back, maybe playing, but it would have to lean one way or the other with the injury report. If everyone's healthy, I'm probably not playing anybody, quite honestly. I know that sucks, but yeah. And because I'm not expecting them to have a great game through the air, I don't think I can play anybody on the outside. T.Y. Hilton is, he says he's not anticipating Hilton to practice on Wednesday, which I assume means that he didn't practice yesterday. He hasn't been very good anyway. So you're looking at guys like, Zach Pascal, Marcus Johnson, Michael Pittman back off IR. I want no piece of all of that. And then the tight ends. It's a three-headed monster that I just don't think I can trust either. So at the end of the day, in this game, just not that many Colts that I'm willing to play, and I'm going to stay away from pretty much all the pass catching options here. That's it. So I'm going to pick up my ball and I'm going to move on. All right, this is our last game of the day for us. Again, we'll knock out the other half tomorrow on Friday. We'll have some more news for you. I'm sure some crazy shit will happen between today and tomorrow, but who knows? So, Carolina Panthers traveling to Kansas City, taking on the defending champion Chiefs. This one, I think Kansas City has the bye after this week, so, I think they're going to be primed to put up a lot of points here. Over under a 52.5, with Kansas City giving 10.5 points. So, they are expected to score probably 4+ touchdowns. And who knows? Last week you had that, that big spread again, all 5 touchdowns. You had Tyreek Hill with 2, 3 other guys with 1. So that spread is real, and you can have lots of guys eating, in this game. So let's talk about Carolina first, since they are the road team. We look at the different narratives you look at with the Chiefs, right? They're going to be up big, so the game script leads to you throwing a lot. I think I'm going to go ahead with that narrative this week, even though Casey's been pretty good against the pass. I'm going to play Teddy Bridgewater this week. He would be right there with Drew Lock, probably for my favorite streaming quarterbacks on the week. He has had some games where he struggled, but he puts up 300 plus in a lot of games, and I think he's going to need to chuck the ball all over the place in this game. He also will get a little bit of boost from expected to have back Christian McCaffrey. He looks like a full participant in practice here. Yeah, he's not even on the injury report. So, Christian McCaffrey back. If you're a McCaffrey owner, yeah, you're playing him. I don't think you give him that 1 week to see if he's ready. You're going to play Christian McCaffrey this week. If you're the Mike Davis owner, I don't think you get rid of him yet, right? This injury was long enough that anything could happen. You'd hate to see something happen to McCaffrey, and now you lost Mike Davis for the rest of the season because you can't get him back on waivers. He's worth holding on to for 1 or 2 weeks, but I'm not playing him, at all, for any reason. He's just a stash right now. Just hold on to him, see what happens with McCaffrey. It's all good. And because I'm expecting them to have to throw the ball a lot, I think Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore are both very good options as, low-end wide receiver 2s, with either one of them having, upside of a wide receiver 1 on this week. The question is Curtis Samuel, and if you can play him, he's been scoring a lot of touchdowns. He's been running the ball, he's been running for touchdowns. The answer is no. I think a lot of that is a byproduct of Christian McCaffrey being gone, them trying to find ways to get the ball in the end zone once Mike Davis started struggling after those first few big bang games. So with McCaffrey back, that designates Curtis Samuel back to the waiver wire for me. Not even a stash right now. For me, he'd be back on the waiver wire if he wasn't already there in your league. So for me, that would do it for my Panthers. I'd be playing. And then for Kansas City, the running back situation is the only real question mark here, right? I guess also the Sammy Watkins situation. So we'll walk through it. Mahomes, no-brainer. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you're going to have to play him. Right? He's still the number 1 there. Hasn't done anything to lose his job. It hasn't been great. It really hasn't been very good, but it's been good enough. And you're going to keep playing Edwards-Helaire. I think you're going to keep Lev Bell on the bench this week. Again, this could be the week where he comes up with some big plays. Didn't happen last week. I think he was like 6 carries for 7 yards against the Jets. You know, revenge game narrative, all that good stuff. None of that came to fruition last week, so I'm going to keep Lev Bell off my lineup this week. Tyreek Hill, yeah, you got him in the lineup. Mecole Hardman getting much, much more involved. And I do think in this game you can feel good about him as a flex. But you know that the ceiling is pretty low here. It just might be a game where he's not targeted much or at all. So you play him with caution. There are safer plays out there. But I do think you play Mecole Hardman this week. Other than that, I'm not playing anybody else. Demarcus Robinson, not playing Jeremy Pringle. And even if Sammy Watkins is back this week, I'd be off of him for a week. But I would probably want to stash him if I have that capability on my bench. If I got a bum stinking up the joint on the bench, I might want to stash Sammy Watkins. And then, yeah, you're expecting Travis Kelce to be Mr. Numero Uno again, as he is many, many times. But he'll be a tight end one more than likely, and he very well could be the tight end one again on this week. And all the people that maybe drafted Kittle ahead of Kelce, they're feeling it a little bit this time of year. So I don't want to rub it in. I got some shares of Kelce. I don't have any shares of George Kittle. Not that I have anything against him. The guy's a beast. Hopefully he's not like trending down for the rest of his career at this point. I don't see why he would be, but wish him all the luck getting back quick and healthy, and we'll see him on the field soon. But I'll take me some Travis motherfucking Kelce. All right, so listen, that's all the matchups we're going to get to today. That's 7 matchups. We got 7 more for tomorrow, Friday afternoon. Hopefully we have a little more clarity on some of these injury situations, maybe some more clarity on some COVID situations. Who knows? But either way, I'll be there to give you the news on Friday. And yeah, so if you joined us today, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Hope you have a great night tonight. Enjoy the football game. And let's hope the San Francisco 49ers can actually field a whole football team and we get to see some football. All right, y'all. Take it easy.